I got 2 pallets on the ground, and then I got my sleeping bag, and I got some plastic bags over top to keep the moisture from the tent to get to me, and then my 2 jackets over my head, and I'm good.
And people are dying. We have lost a lot of people out here from the cold. Us community members are going out here to help the homeless as well, because they can't do it all on themselves. We gotta be out here, we gotta help them with blankets, sleeping bags, tents.
Have you ever wondered, who truly understands how to survive when everything collapses? Not the experts on television, not those who own expensive equipment, but the individuals who sleep each night outdoors, facing cold winds, darkness, and the uncertainty of the city. While we depend on comfort, they depend on awareness. While we prepare just in case, they live in a state of necessity every single day. And within that constant exposure, remarkable survival strategies have emerged quietly, practically, and with an effectiveness that challenges many of the assumptions we once held. Welcome to the Homeless Fact, a space where homelessness is not viewed through pity, but through understanding and respect. If you believe every human being carries valuable lessons, consider pressing like to support this content. Subscribe to the Homeless Fact so you won't miss stories that may reshape your perspective. And in the comments, share your thoughts. In your opinion, which skill matters most when all modern comforts disappear? When the city goes dark. In recent years, major urban centers have faced rolling blackouts, extreme weather events, and mounting economic pressure. When systems slow down, a group often pushed to society's margins becomes silent witnesses to how a city functions without light. People experiencing homelessness do not read risk reports. They live inside risk daily. That lived experience creates a grounded, practical lens that few pay attention to. From this perspective, an important question emerges. What do they notice first when a crisis begins? According to observations from community support organizations, those living outdoors often detect instability earlier through direct sensory awareness. Shifting pedestrian flows, unusual store closures, and the increasing frequency of emergency sirens. They do not rely on public announcements. They read the heartbeat of the city through sound and motion. When the wind changes direction, they locate shelter. When rain approaches, they know which awnings provide real protection. This is not vague intuition. It is data accumulated through countless sleepless nights. And when early detection becomes an advantage, the next step is adaptation. Unlike heavy reliance on equipment, they optimize what is already available, choosing low-wind positions, keeping belongings dry, and maintaining communication within small networks. A mindset of sufficiency prioritizes stability over appearance. In times of urban volatility, the ability to adjust quickly becomes a priceless asset. Nights without locked doors. When night falls, the city retreats behind locked doors. Warm apartment lights glow from above, while sidewalks become spaces of quiet trial. For many experiencing homelessness, nighttime is not merely the absence of light, it is the hour of vulnerability. Wind whistles through narrow gaps. Unfamiliar footsteps echo in the dark. Every sound can be a signal, and within that fragility, they learn to listen with more than just their ears. This vulnerability raises another question. What keeps them from breaking? The answer is not material, it is connection. Small groups form naturally beneath awnings, in parks, near bus stations. They exchange information, share dry spaces, and wake one another when danger approaches. There are no contracts or formal agreements, only trust built across long nights. A loaf of bread split in half can mean the difference between despair and hope. In a loud city, quiet kindness becomes the warmest fire. From these bonds, a quiet form of strength begins to take shape. It is not loud or performative. It is the determination to wake up the next morning, the courage to face another day of searching for work, for shelter, for opportunity. Each sunrise carries more than light. It carries the possibility that today might be different. And within a landscape painted in many shades of gray, a small but persistent faith continues to endure. The city's invisible map. Between crowded boulevards and towering buildings, there exists a map that appears on no official chart. It is the map of those living at the margins, where clean water is available in the morning, where it is safe when the wind shifts direction, where lights remain on throughout the night. They memorize it through footsteps and memory through costly trial and error. To them, the city is not a collection of addresses. It is an ecosystem of opportunity and risk. From this invisible map, a crucial skill gradually takes shape: the ability to read the movement and rhythm of urban life. When the economy slows, they sense it first through the reduction of leftover food. When harsh weather approaches, they notice pedestrians moving more hurriedly. Every subtle shift is a signal. They have no forecasting center, yet they possess observational precision down to the smallest detail. Survival compels them to become field analysts without formal credentials. In a world where many rely on push notifications, they rely on instincts sharpened by years of lived experience. This capacity to read signals allows them to make rapid decisions. Sometimes the decision is simple: move to a different corner, adjust travel hours, remain silent to avoid conflict. Small, yet essential. Over time, these repeated choices form a resilient survival strategy. Their map is not drawn in ink, but in experience and memory. And within a city that often feels indifferent, they still find their own path. Preserving dignity under watchful eyes. Amid the hurried rhythm of urban life, people experiencing homelessness are often perceived as part of the city's background, quiet, blurred, easily overlooked. Yet behind worn blankets and frayed clothing lie untold stories. Former factory workers, drivers, students, parents. Crisis does not ask permission before it strikes. A medical emergency, a job loss, a separation, and the line between stability and precarity becomes alarmingly thin. From that fragility, the question shifts from what they lack to what they manage to preserve. The first thing many strive to protect is dignity, keeping clothes as clean as possible, keeping promises within small groups, maintaining the habit of greeting familiar faces at familiar places. Actions that may seem small become affirmations. I am still myself. When social glances carry prejudice, they often respond with silence and patience, not out of weakness, but from the understanding that each safe day is already a victory. From this deliberate choice, inner strength slowly accumulates. It is not loud like a slogan, it is steady like breathing. It allows them to stand upright in crowded squares, to apply for work one more time, to believe their story does not end here. And when we pause long enough to truly listen, we realize dignity does not depend on a roof, but on how a person confronts adversity. Opportunity in the gaps. In a city that runs on contracts, invoices, and appointments, opportunity usually arrives through formal doors. For those experiencing homelessness, those doors rarely open easily. Instead, they search for gaps in day labor, substitute shifts, and temporary loading jobs. No name badge, no insurance, only verbal agreements and fragile trust. The labor market is not always welcoming, yet it still contains narrow openings for those willing to begin from zero. And within those openings, determination is tested. Each morning becomes a resubmission of an invisible resume, arriving on time, working without complaint, honoring one's word. A good recommendation may open another job. A small mistake may close many. So they learn to accumulate credibility the way they accumulate spare coins, carefully, patiently. When formal networks are absent, they build informal ones through consistent presence and reliability. From that foundation, hope begins to take concrete shape. Hope does not arrive dramatically. It arrives in a text message offering extra shifts next week. In a shop owner remembers one's name. In the first small savings after months of instability. Small steps assemble into a long road. And within a layered city of many social tiers, there is still room for return if someone is willing to see the effort behind the exhausted exterior. The ecosystem of kindness. A person experiencing homelessness does not exist in isolation. They exist within an ecosystem. That ecosystem can be indifferent, or it can save them. On a corner of Broadway, a cafe owner allows free phone charging as long as customers are not disturbed. At a nearby public library, staff issue library cards even when a temporary address is unstable. A laundromat offers weekend discounts for those who bring verification from a support center. There are no promotional banners, no media campaigns. Yet these small acts form a quiet network that keeps someone from falling further. Within the city, people experiencing homelessness learn to read the social map. They know which cafe will not drive them away, which public restroom stays open overnight, and which park has a lenient security guard. That knowledge is as valuable as cash. But isolated kindness is not enough. An ecosystem truly functions only when its links begin to connect. When a cafe owner refers someone to a vocational training center, when a social worker helps complete identification paperwork, when a hospital agrees to split medical payments, when a temporary housing program does not demand a deposit beyond one's means. That is when kindness stops being fragmented and becomes structured. In many U.S. cities, the Housing First model has demonstrated a simple principle: provide housing first, address other issues later. When stable housing is secured, relapse rates decline. Employment retention improves. A permanent address on a job application can change how an employer perceives a candidate. A room key can sometimes be more powerful than any motivational speech. This ecosystem does not need to be perfect. It needs to function consistently. No one can escape a downward spiral alone if every door remains closed. But if one door opens and behind it another, the trajectory of a life can change. Where there was once only survival, the architecture of opportunity begins to appear. And when opportunity takes tangible form, hope is no longer abstract. A ticket back into the current. The moment a person experiencing homelessness holds a completed job application is the moment they cross an invisible boundary. No longer merely temporarily surviving. No longer simply waiting. They become active participants. The process is not romantic. It is filled with small, practical details. Passport photos, re-entering personal information, explaining gaps in employment history, and practicing interview responses without trembling. Some support centers organize mock interviews. They teach how to shake hands with the right firmness, how to maintain eye contact, and how to speak about the past without diminishing oneself. The first job is rarely a dream job. Construction assistant, dishwasher, night security guard, delivery worker. The wages may cover little more than rent and basic meals. Yet the first paycheck carries weight beyond the number printed on it. It is proof of value created. Then comes the day of signing a rental agreement. The room may be only 12 square meters low ceiling and aging walls, but it has a door that locks from the inside, a private outlet, space for a small desk. When the key turns in the lock, many stand still for a few seconds. The feeling of control returns. They begin rebuilding rhythm. Consistent sleep hours, regular breakfasts, clean laundry, arriving at work on time, paying rent on schedule. These repeated actions reconstruct dignity. No one hands it back to them. They recreate it themselves. Reintegration is not a triumphant moment. It is a series of disciplined actions. Many stumble before stabilizing. Some quit under pressure. Some lose rooms due to delayed wages. But unlike before, they no longer fall freely. They have a social worker's phone number, a support center's address, someone who knows their name. A ticket back into the current is not one way. It must be renewed daily through the decision to continue. At the end of this journey, there is no spotlight, only an ordinary morning. The alarm rings, they wake, put on a uniform, lock the door, and step into the street like everyone else. And for the first time in a long while, they no longer feel on the margins. In the closing reflection, the story does not end with a roof or a stable job. It opens into something broader: belief. Behind every person who once slept under a cold awning lives a desire to truly live, to be recognized with respect and dignity. They do not need pity, they need an opportunity. And when opportunity arrives at the right moment, transformation can begin from the smallest beginnings. The city remains loud, the crowd remains hurried, yet somewhere within that rhythm, footsteps that once wandered are finding direction again. The road ahead may still hold challenges. There may still be setbacks, but hope is no longer as fragile as before. It has been strengthened by experience, resilience, and the collective effort of a community. This ending does not close with a period, but with a pause, inviting each of us to ask what more we can do. For when society chooses to open its heart, no one is truly left behind. May those experiencing homelessness today find light for tomorrow. May every outstretched hand meet another willing to hold it. And may faith endure, even in the hardest of circumstances. Amen.